So welcome to Fourwards at Home with myself, Stacey Ward. Hey everyone, so on today's episode, I'm going to be showing you how to make spaghetti bolognese. This is how I make it at home for us as a family. Most of the ingredients that are in front of me have all been purchased from Aldi. I'll talk you through those as we get going. This dish is designed to be created at home. It's really easy, it's really simple, it's cost effective. It's just a warm, hearty family meal that everybody can make at home for children, adults, grandmas, granddads. It's really straightforward. We're using a slow cooker. So yeah, let's get into it. Good old Spanish onions. Again, look, just straight from Aldi. Everyone can buy these. There's nothing here that is obscure or unfamiliar for everyone. For this pack of mince, I'm going to recommend that we use 1 onion because I think that'll be enough. Right, peel the onion. So just take the top off. Again, there's 1,000,001 chefy ways. I could show you how to cut an onion. Is it really necessary to be doing this at home? No, it's probably not, because you're at home, you know, you've not got Gordon Ramsay judging you in the corner. Is it really going to matter? As long as your kids eat it, who cares? Right, so onion peeled, as good as. I'm going to show 2 different ways on how to cut this onion. So with the onion, again, 2 different ways. I'll show you the way that we use at home because I think it's going to be easier, and I think that's what most people will do. If your children are like mine, that don't particularly like onion, I mean, the girls will eat it, but, you know, if I said to them there's onion in that, they'd pull a face. The way I'm going to show you how to do it today is all of the vegetables, the carrots and the onions, will be blitzed up. So any child, baby, you know, small person that doesn't like onion, doesn't like texture, this is a great sauce for them because it's completely plain. So for this, I'm literally just going to heavily cut this onion up. Again, like I say, there's nothing major. Look, it's quite a big dice. It's not anything fancy. So, hob on. First thing we need to do is we need to cook the mince. This is why I said at the start of the video about the mince being important with the fat content. It really doesn't matter because, shock horror, this is probably going to despise and repulse a load of chefs out there, but I am about to boil the mince. Yes, I'm about to boil mince. 2 reasons. My children prefer their mince, whether it be in a cottage pie, lasagna, spag bowl, anything along those lines. They prefer it to be smoother rather than big lumps. Secondly, this is supermarket mince, by the way. I think this is really important to clear up. If you're going and getting prime steak mince from the butcher, do not do this process. Fry it up because it's completely different. There's nothing wrong with this. Like I say, we eat this all the time at home. I find it's just better to boil it up first because it just removes any impurities from the mince and it just makes it a lot cleaner. No, not necessarily healthier, but cleaner, and it just gets rid of all the crap out of it, to be honest. What do I do with the water after I've boiled it? I give it the dogs. I drain it off, I mix it with the dog's kibble, and the dogs eat it. So it doesn't go to waste. It's just, for me and for us and for how we eat and for what I recommend, just boil it up. So that can just go straight into the pan. Like so. Also, I think it's important to talk about, I see all the time online, right, people moaning about this packaging. People are losing their heads over this packaging. It's just called vacuum packed. Like, as chefs, we use this all the time at work. So when I keep seeing it on TikTok and Instagram, people go, oh, this packaging is disgusting, bring back the old packaging. Actually, do you know what? This is better. This is better for the product quality. It means there's definitely no chance of oxidization getting in there. Sometimes with the old packaging, the slightest little hole in it would cause your food to go out of date quicker and bacteria to get in. So actually, do you know what? This is much better. So well done to the supermarkets for converting to this. Right, now we need to fry our vegetables off. I'm using a bit of olive oil. The irony, I know I've just taken all the fat out of the mince and I'm now about to put some more fat in it, but you know, this is, I think, good fat. So again, from Aldi, just a glug of that in there just to get the job going. I'll put this chunky one in for now, just so you can see. If your children or whoever you're cooking your meal for prefer chunks and prefer this to have texture in, then for me, again, just cut it a little bit differently. I'm not going to start doing all this way and then all this way, because chances are you're going to cut yourself at home. Like, I've seen so many young chefs with their fingers like this coming in with a knife, and then lo and behold, they end up cutting their fingers. So this way is, oh, it's fairly idiot proof, and I think it's just much easier. So again, exactly the same way that I just cut this one up, but this one's quite big chunks like this. So we're just gonna go down like this, but instead of doing fatter ones, we're just gonna do thinner ones. And if you actually look at your onions as well, there is lines on the onions. Like, it almost gives you a natural guideline of where to cut, so it's doing half the job for you. Watch your fingers out the way, guys, be careful. And then just cut it thinner, look. So instead of having like this was the original one, you've got this. Look, really small. So this will sweat down lovely, and rather than blitzing it all up, you just put it in your sauce like this. So you can keep your sauce chunky. The same with the tomatoes, because the tomatoes have a texture to them. Again, if you prefer chunkier, keep it all chunky. If you prefer smaller dice, then do smaller dice. And this is entirely up to you and what works for you and your family. As I say, Tilly and Alice will eat, they don't mind, you know, onions and things, and obviously they eat them. We had a carbonara last night which was full of sliced onions, but if you gave them the choice, they would 100% prefer not to have onions in. And they've been used to this since they were babies. Again, my onions fell apart a little bit at the end, but you know, you can just go through and just give them a quick rough dice. Again, it's not MasterChef, no one's judging you. It's just about making sure your family have a nice meal. So for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to put everything in there. Next thing up, here we go, this is something else to talk about. These are generic, the cheapest of the cheapest wonky carrots from Aldi. These have two purposes in our house. One, to feed us, to cook our food with. Two, they go to the guinea pigs. So why am I going to spend £1.50 on a bag of carrots that for this are going to be blitzed up, and chances are they're going to taste exactly the same? What's wrong with these carrots? Like, what's wrong with this? What's wrong with this one? Just because they're not all exactly the same. Look, by the time I've peeled these carrots and done what I'm about to do with them, does it matter if they're the same size? Does it matter if they're the same shape? Does it matter if they look the same? If they fit down a chute in a warehouse? No, it doesn't. They're all going to go in the same pot. Again, no waste for these. I'll get a pot for the guinea pigs. Wow. Actually, it's a crappy old jug, but you know, we'll use that. So we try and have as much minimal waste in the house as we can. And as I say, the guinea pigs lap this up because they love eating all the rubbish, basically. Hence the name guinea pig. Carrots peeled. I mean, they're not too dissimilar, are they, really? No. So again, for the purpose of the video, I'll show you how I would cut carrots to go in the base sauce, which is just this, look. Just rough chop. Chop, chop, chop. Again, doesn't really matter. No one's watching, no one's judging. If you prefer texture in your spag bowl sauce, cut them a bit smaller. So I've just got this one, cut it in half, literally in half again, straight down there. There is proper chefy names for this technique, but I won't bore you with them because we don't need to know. You can cut these as big or as small as you wish. It doesn't really matter. It's all personal preference. And I think this is what's important. We need to talk more about this, you know, for cooking in general. Like, what one person likes, another person doesn't like. What I like is completely different to what Adam likes. What, you know, your friends will eat will be completely different to what you'll eat. But all of this here, I could give this to 10 different people and they would make it completely different, because someone might prefer their sauce a bit more smokier or a bit more saltier, or, you know, a bit more beefy or whatnot. But that's the unique thing, because we are all different. I think sometimes with food, it's been pushed upon us that we should all eat the same, that we should all think the same. You know, that this food's bad for you, that food's bad for you. This one is going to give you this one's going to give you that. Whereas, you know what, just tailor-make things to how you like them yourself. Right, carrot situation, here we go. So, gone from this to this. Which you could even go smaller with this one if you really wanted to. Like you could just do really, really small dices. Again, I've used this way of cooking now for our girls from when they were, you know, tiny, tiny babies. I will say, if you're using these recipes at home, obviously there's certain things that you can do if you've got weaning, you know, babies, toddlers. You know, there'll be things on here like the Bovril, don't put the Bovril in. The stock cubes, don't put the stock cubes in because of the salt content. So again, they can be easily adapted to suit you at home. All we used to do when the girls were small was I'd basically make a nice meal like this, and then me and Adam would just add salt at the end of it, or I'd split the sauce down and then make it one batch suitable for the girls and then one batch suitable for us. But again, this is one meal that everyone can eat at home. I think we're all so used now to at home, everybody's eating different meals. You know, the kids will come home and then they'll be having one thing and then the adults will be having something else. It shouldn't really be like that. We should all be eating together, even not at a table. Even if you just sat on the sofa having a casual one, why is everyone not eating the same food? And as well, mums, it makes it really difficult for you to have to manage because you're literally juggling like 5 or 6 different dishes. So if we can get this basics right, then everyone can eat this food and everyone can then adapt it and make it suitable for their own families. Right, so in this pan, we've got the olive oil, the carrots and the onions, and they're just going to sweat down. This process is called sweating. So we don't want the heat high, but we want it high enough to cook the vegetables, but we don't necessarily want to colour them at this point. So for me, we get them to this temperature and then we literally just put the lid on. So what's going to happen is the heat's going to come up from the bottom of the pan. It's going to start cooking the vegetables in the oil, but then because the lid is on, the lid's going to keep the moisture in. So when it cooks, it condensates, so the heat will come up to the top, which will make water, which will then go back into the vegetables, which is what as chefs we call sweating, which I guess it is sweat. It's like being in a sauna, essentially. Right, so there we go. You can hear that's what we want. Just going to put my extraction fan on because my whole house will smell like onions if I don't. So I'll put it on there though. Right. So the mince is just ticking away nicely in here. Right, so we are slowly sweating down. So while that's just doing that, I'm going to show you this mince. So, I mean, I'm not going to lie, it doesn't look the most appealing. But this layer of scum, I don't know what else to call it, I actually think the technical term for it is scum, is on top of here. Again, I'm just going to strain this off straight away. I'm not using the liquid, it's going for the dogs, but I'm just showing you, you can use it if you want to. So I'm just going to drain this off. Like that. But you see what I mean now? It's all broken up. So it's all broken up. It's all nice and smooth, look. There's no big lumps in it. In fact, sometimes if I'm rushing a meal for the kids, it's like a running joke in the house as to who gets the lumps. To which I get told off for. So that is just mince. That's purely just the mince. There's nothing else in there. Some people would argue, well, why don't you put a stock cube in there? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Well, what's the point? Because I am only going to give it to the dogs. So there's no point in wasting anything to give to the dogs. Right. Now this can go straight into the slow cooker. The Bosch. Just like that. So that, I've already got the slow cooker on so it's nice and warm. That's just going to sit in there like that while we finish the sauce off. This will literally go into the fridge and then I'll just mix it through with the dog's biscuits. It's just something a bit nice. Right, this is all working now, which is nice. About ready to start adding some flavours in here, I think. These are looking good. So, core bank of goodness. I use these in everything. These go in pie mixes, they go in lasagna, they'll go in cottage pie. Maybe the smoked paprika, I'd only just put a tiny little bit in. Again, all from Aldi. Really, really, really cheap cupboard staples. These are like, they range from like 80 odd p to £1.40. But I'm not against having fresh herbs and things in the house, of course I'm not. But if we're in a rush, we're all really busy, just have these in the cupboard. Like even these onion granules, I'm about to put some of these in here, even though I've got onions in there, but just to give it a little bit of a lift. Again, all from Aldi, reasonably priced. Have them in your cupboard, very, versatile. You can be used for everything. So I really, really, really recommend having these. So we're just going to put these in here. I'm going to go equal quantities of these 3 and then maybe double the paprika. So I just sprinkle them in like so. Again, if you really wanted to, if you think, oh, do you know what, I don't like thyme, I really don't like the taste of it, it's not for me, put some rosemary in there. It's not gonna offend anyone. If you don't like thyme, you don't like thyme. And then garlic granules. Again, you could sub this out if you wanted to for garlic paste, like the stuff in the squeezy tube. I have that in the fridge as well. I just like this one because I think when it's brought back to life in this lovely warm pan, it creates really nice flavour. Right, we'll give that another minute of just sweating. This is my absolute favourite. I love smoked paprika. I literally love it. I like it on crisps. I like it in cooking. I like it in aioli. I'd eat this every day for the rest of my life, like quite simply in some form of food. So I'm going to put the smoked paprika in here now. This is where we have to jazz things up a bit. So I'm going to put all this in here now. And what you'll find is that the smoked paprika with the sort of water oil content that's in the pan, it will make it go dry. I know that sounds really strange, but it just instantly just soaks up all the goodness. And I think this part is important. I'll keep making myself messy. I think this part is important because I think this unlocks the flavour in what's in here. And then this is where we get interesting, because I think this is now where people wouldn't necessarily do these stages at home. I think again, when it's speculating, I think people would just get to this point and then just start chucking things in and not go through the proper processes, because it's these processes now that will give you the end result and that will make the difference in the flavours. So next up we need tomato puree. Again, pretty much everything on this table today is from Aldi, bar the Bisto, because I ran out of gravy granules the week and I had to run to the shop, the Bovril, and this. Again, this is a bit bougie to be fair, but it's just some balsamic vinegar that we got when we were at the Cotswolds, and it's really, really good. But everything else is from Aldi. I'm going to use half a tube in this because I think that's going to be enough for what we need. So this is the crucial point. Most people now would just start chucking the chopped tomatoes in and chucking everything in. I like to leave this to fry up a bit. So I'm going to crank the heat up. I'm going to put the lid back on. And when I show you in that pan in a minute, it will look completely different. It will look loads different. Because between the paprika and between the tomato puree, it'll start caramelising. And this is what I say, this isn't an important part, because if it doesn't caramelise and it doesn't bring out the natural sweetness in the paprika and the tomatoes, it will make a difference to the next stage. And I think the next stage as well is something that most people wouldn't do at home. This is a part as well that if you were using this for a weaning baby or a weaning toddler, that you'd completely miss this part out, because I wouldn't recommend giving vinegar and sugar to a tiny baby. I just wouldn't. Right, so in this pan, you can see all these lovely bubbles forming, which means that the heat's coming up really quick now. So this means that the bottom of the pan's really hot, and you can see that the heat's coming in, which is causing this condensation. When I take this lid off of this pan, there's going to be a lot of steam because the pan's very hot, and then you can start to see what's going on at the bottom of the pan. See? Now at this point, it's really important to say don't be scared, because a lot of people will go, oh no, it's burning, it's burning. It's not burning. You'll smell if it's burning. What that smells like to me is caramelisation, which is absolutely perfect for what we need. So now we're at this point, we can turn it down just a little bit. See, there's no moisture left in here at all now. We've started. It's pretty much dry. We've put the moisture in and we've taken the moisture out, and all that's done is just gone, and it's put it all in together. Again, top tip. When I make this at home for us, I always chug a good large glass of red wine in at this point. However, because this is one of our early videos and I want to show people just a base dinner that everyone can eat that's very family friendly, we're going to skip this part out. I like it with the red wine in it. It goes from up here to up here. So if you're at home and you're watching this video, chuck the wine in now, reduce it down till your pan's almost dry again, and then skip to the next part. But chef's tip. Right. So now we're at this point, we need to chop tomatoes. Again, if you fancy, Aldi do the ones with the herbs already in. They do whole tomatoes. It doesn't really matter. We are going to blitz this sauce down so it's basically a smooth tomato sauce. At this point, if you want to put whole tomatoes in, by all means put whole tomatoes in. You can use fresh tomatoes, but if I'm honest, they're a bit temperamental and it's completely the wrong time of year for tomatoes anyway, so chopped tomatoes work just fine. Right, look, what we're going to do with this. Most people would just go, oh, well, they're finished now, let's just chuck them in the bin. You don't need a vast amount. I really do sound like a mum now when I'm saying this. I can feel myself being like it. Give it a swirl round, give it a swirl round. Give it a swirl round, give it a swirl round. We'll show you in a minute why we've just done that. I've just added 75 ml of water to this and 2 whole tins of chopped tomatoes, and it's still already quite thick. So at this point now, what we need to do, again, Aldi Finest, yes, they're not the square, cubey crumbly ones. You can use them if you want. I don't really think it matters. I just prefer these ones because I just think they've got a bit more depth of flavour. But again, if you want to use the other ones, absolutely fine. Or you can use chicken stock. Or if you're vegetarian and you were just making this sauce, just use vegetable stock. It makes no difference. And you could replace the mince for corn. So this could become vegetarian if you wanted it to be. I'm going to put 2 of these in here. So straight in there you go. Bish bosh bash. No messing around, no frills, just in. Again. I mean, this is something else that's worthwhile saying. How long has this taken to get to this point? Like 10 minutes? And I've been taking my time. If you wanted to, you could just bam, 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 do it in there. I reckon 5 minutes from start to finish where we're at now. And this is on now. This is the bulk of the work done. So in here now, we've just got the stock. We've got the sauce base. Another top tip. Absolutely love this stuff. Bovril is not just for a cold Thursday night at the football. Bovril is good beer kit. As much as these herbs and spices are cupboard staples, Bovril is always in my cupboard. Bovril and Marmite and truffle Marmite you'll always find in the pantry. So you could argue the toss that this is just another version of a stock cube, and if you don't like Bovril or you don't have Bovril, put another stock cube in. I just think that this lovely goodness enhances this dish completely, and again, like the red wine, takes it from being up here to up here, and that's what makes it taste so good. So I'm going to say a good teaspoon of that in there. Oh, wow. I love Bovril. Right, so in there we have got beefiness, we have got our veggies, and we've got our tomatoes, and we've also got the smokiness of the paprika, so it's beefy and smoky at this point. Now what we need to do is put this on to a low simmer, and then we'll just cover it up again. Just cover it up with the lid, turn it up, job done. This dish is ideally designed to be made at the start of the week, and then you can use this throughout the week. That's what I do. So obviously I'm busy at the restaurant Thursday to Sunday because we're always at work. So what I tend to do is I will cook food on a Monday and I'll batch cook up until at least Friday, as to which come Friday when the girls finish school, obviously the weekend comes into play, there's dancing, there's football, yada yada. So then Saturday and Sunday we go a bit rogue. But I try and make sure we've got at least 5 meals a week already done on a Monday. So every day I'm not having to come home from the school run and think, oh, what have I got to make for food? I need to do some cooking. I need to do this. I need to do that. I just try and make sure everything's done in one hit, which makes it easier for us as a family because it's already done in the fridge. I can literally just take a lasagna out, chuck it in the oven, and then it's done. Or just leave the slow cooker on, and then all I've got to do is cook some pasta. So it just makes it, for us, really easy. As working professionals, which I'm sure most people are nowadays, if you can save yourself half an hour, 45 minutes of an evening when you get home from work and you're knackered, and all you want to do is sit down and watch TV and sit and talk to your kids, this is ideal because the prep's already done. I know there's a lot of companies out there like HelloFresh and things like that that do make it really simple, but you still got to cook on that evening. It's not pre-prepared, it's just everything's in front of you. So although it's quick and easy, 15 minutes and it's done, this is more designed to have sort of an hour, 2 hours a week. Maybe, you know, normal people that have normal jobs could do this on a Sunday afternoon, you know, when the uniforms are all done and everyone's, you know, relaxing after a big Sunday lunch. You could just do this on a Sunday, or even do it in between doing your Sunday lunch prep. You know, it's easy, it's straightforward, and it really shouldn't be difficult for everyone just to have a nice tasty meal a night. Right, now the sauce has been simmering away for sort of half an hour, 30 minutes. The vegetables have gone nice and soft in there. Now what we need to do is, again, this is a bit chefy, we call it a gastric. So when you do anything with tomatoes, whether it be tomato soup, whether it be beans, you know when you look at things in the supermarket and you go, wow, like that tomato ketchup, why is it full of sugar? Because everything that's tomato based needs sugar and vinegar to balance out the acidity in the tomatoes. It's the same with, you know, greenhouse tomatoes and things. If you cook with them, you need these two ingredients to balance out the flavour. Otherwise, if you didn't put them in, you would taste these tomato based products and you would hate them. And we have to use it all the time at the restaurant. And obviously I do this at home. And I have done since the girls were small. Obviously, when they were babies, I didn't put this in. But then as they got sort of past toddler age, I did start putting them in. So this is called a gastric. And at work, we would put the two together and boil them up and then add them to our tomato product. But because this is already on a boil and because this is already cooking away, I'm just going to put them directly in there and let them cook through the sauce. So this is some balsamic vinegar. This is actually a raspberry balsamic vinegar. So again, go off the cuff. If you've got traditional balsamic vinegar, use that. If you've got malt vinegar, use that. If you've got white wine vinegar, use it. Red wine vinegar, sherry vinegar. The base of the fact is that it's just a vinegar. The fact that it's got raspberries in, actually I don't think will make, no, it won't make too much difference to the dish. I mean, this is great to have with some bread, I'm not going to lie, and in a salad dressing, but for the purpose of the video, I'm going to use it today. And just some, you know, this is Adam's tea sugar, and actually my brother's tea sugar. So when it comes over, we don't actually take sugar in our tea, but when we have guests, this is theirs. So it's not actually granulated sugar, it's caster sugar. So there you go, Scott. This is just your pot of sugar. So as you can see, again, this is all nice and hot and bubbly. Again, give it a stir, and people say all the time when they're cooking, you know, oh, how do I know if it's cooked? How do I know this? How do I know that? Feel it. Like, this is Tilly's baking spatula, actually. It's not even mine. But you can feel at the bottom of the pan if it's catching or not, which this isn't. It's absolutely fine. But you can feel that the sauce is slowly starting to reduce. I'm going to put in here for this 2 spoons. I'm going to do 2 tablespoons of sugar. Don't judge me, because this is going to make a lot of sauce. So actually, if you break this down into per portion, you're probably talking 1/4 of a teaspoon, if that, per portion. So it's not actually all that bad. It looks a lot, but that's going to make a lot of sauce for a lot of meals. So if you average that out for the week, you're probably talking half a tablespoon, of sugar per week. So yes, there's sugar in it, but no, it's not a vast amount. If you bought a jar of Dolmio, which some people do, so if you buy pre-made sauces, just have a look at how much sugar is in the back of them. That's the difference. So I'm going to put, so sugar's gone in, and I'm probably going to do 50 to 75 ml of vinegar. Again, because we're making this from scratch, if in 10 minutes time, once this is cooked, we taste and we go, oh, that's really acidic, more sugar. Really sweet, more vinegar. And we can always balance the dish. If you start chucking things in there, once they're in, you can't take them out. I say this all the time, and this is like a top tip from a chef. Once it's in, you can't get rid of it. And you'll notice as well, I've got my salt and pepper here, but actually we haven't put anything in at this point because this is only part 1 of the cooking process. Part 2 will be finished in the slow cooker. So for me, it's important to make sure the base is right here, season, put in there to finish. So although we've put all the good stuff in here, so we've made the foundation, then we'll make sure that the foundation is stable and then we'll put it in here to finish. When it's in there, it's just going to sit there and do nothing. It's just sitting, it's just finishing cooking away, it's reducing a little bit and it's getting that goodness in. This point's just the initial cooking. Right, so I'm just going to taste our sauce. It's been bubbling away for around 10 minutes now, so I'm going to have a little look and see how we're getting on. Actually, you know what, that's good. That's good. So I'm going to turn the heat off. So there's no more heat now, no more heat. So at this point, I am going to put just a tiny little bit of salt in, just because if I don't, by the time I give it the kids, they're going to add it in anyway, so I may as well put it in. Right, again, another weird one, and I bet everyone's thinking, why is the bisto on the table for? Bisto's not just for gravy. Now, I always put bisto in when I'm cooking with tomatoes because, point 1, it thickens it, because if you blend just tomatoes, as in chopped tomatoes or fresh tomatoes, the water content in there is ridiculous. So always just put, I'm talking just a tiny bit just to emulsify this dish and keep it together. So I literally, a quick little sprinkling, look, there's hardly anything in there. And then I'm just going to give this a quick blitz. This isn't the final stage of the cooking process, so you've got to think that when this is sat in your slow cooker, it's still going to continue cooking. So don't be alarmed if this doesn't look great. I mean, in all fairness, you could probably get away with using, if you like chunky, that's absolutely fine. Just finish cooking it out on there, mix your mincing, job done. That's fine. Right, hand blender. Just a good old stick blender. No frills, nothing fancy. Again, I think it was literally £6 from the supermarket. It's nothing extravagant. So in there is that. Mix it in with the mince that we cooked earlier. That can now literally sit in there. You can leave that on a low temperature. You can go off to work. Your bolognese is done. Leave it overnight. It'll be absolutely fine. That's what I do all the time. I just leave it in there, come back from work, boil some pasta, there's your tea. Job done. With this, again, this can be used for pasta arrabbiata. Chili con carne is a good one. So use exactly this sauce for chili con carne. So chili con carne, tin of kidney beans, open the tin, drain them off, swirl them off, chuck them in there, get some chili in there, as little or as much as you like. Add your minced beef, chili con carne. Pasta arrabbiata, again, some fresh chilies, some spinach, some pasta, quick, easy dinner done. This sauce will last in the fridge for around 4 days. As is. Obviously, we have to be careful with what we're doing at home. We don't need to be reheating, cooling, cooking. You know, let's be sensible about things. But if I made that on a Monday, I would be confident that would feed us at home on a Friday. So if I made a lasagna with this, I'd make my lasagna, I'd have it all done, and I'd have it in the fridge. It's in here, so it's continuing to cook, so it's absolutely fine. Again, pasta sauce, I'd put that in the fridge and have that on a Wednesday if I wanted a bit of arrabbiata. Or you can freeze it. Again, don't be scared to put things in the freezer. Put it in a bag, put it in a tub, make sure it's sealed up properly, label on the top of it what's in it, chuck it in your freezer. It's not going to do any harm, and then it's there in case you want a quick meal. But that, for the sake of what? Just the sauce on its own probably costs less than what? £2 at a push? For 4 meals. One jar of Dolmio, or even Aldi's own version of pasta sauce, is going to cost you well over £1, if not £1.40. And you've just made 4 meals worth there for less than £2. So, you know, if you're weighing it all up, this is definitely better than buying the stuff from the shop. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but again, and this will taste exactly how you want it to, and it'll be perfect every time. Right. I think this bit's important. Again, I've seen pasta this served in so many different ways. And if you're Italian and I've done this wrong, I'm really sorry. I apologise in advance. This is just how we do it here. So please don't shoot me in the comments. Bolognese has been on now. It's been on for a good 5 hours. We've just left it in there. It's absolutely golden. I mix it in. So I'm sorry if this is wrong. But that's just what we do. So literally back on here, quick mix, jibber jobber jobber. Right, Parmesan, let's talk Parmesan. Again, I've got this one from Aldi because I think this is a better quality. They do a cheaper version, which is absolutely fine. We just prefer this one. So quick grating of Parmesan over the top. Again, have as little or as much as you want. It's your dinner, no one's going to tell you off. I'm about to eat this, so I'm going to make this how I would do it. So I do just put a bit of fresh parsley over the top. It's a bit chefy, looks a bit nice. And I do like a bit of cracked black pepper. Again, sorry if it's offensive to Italians, but I'm about to eat this, so I've cooked it for me. So there we go.